What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Layback Dad Reviews. My name's Stephen George, and today I'm going to be talking about the most recent Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, this is the first movie that has came out, the newest Star Wars movie that's came out since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. This one is directed by Jon Favreau, also written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Noah Clure. And it's starring Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, Din Djarin. This one also has Sigourney Weaver as Colonel Ward. Steve Bloom does voice work for Zeb from Rebels. This one's got Jeremy Allen White as Rada the Hutt. And in this movie, we follow Mandalorian and Grogu as they are now working for the New Republic, and they are going throughout the galaxy, looking for ex-Imperials that are still out there after the fall of the Empire. And also, is kind of a father-son story with Din Djarin and Din Grogu, as Mandalorian is basically teaching Grogu the ways of bounty hunting and what it is to be a Mandalorian. So before I watched the Rise of Skywalker, before I watched The Mandalorian and Grogu, I went through and watched all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, and I remember back in 2019 just being absolutely excited, one, for Disney Plus, but more than that, The Mandalorian was going to be the first project that Disney Plus was going to release, and season 1 was awesome. And then they brought season 2, and that was awesome. And then they brought season 3, and just from the pundits that I listen to, I get kind of agitated with sometimes, because they just want to talk about how season 3 they dropped the ball. It doesn't quite hit the heights of seasons 1 and 2, which I will go to bat for season 3 all day. You know, with the exception of maybe one episode or something, I enjoy it quite a bit. So, one thing that I was excited about for Mandalorian and Grogu, though, after watching those episodes, was getting to finally see these guys on the big screen. You know, throughout the seasons 1 through 3, I mean, there's so many episodes that I remember just sitting there just thinking, God, this would be awesome to see on the big screen with Dolby Atmos going through the speakers, and just getting to experience this again with a crowd of Star Wars fans, which, Star Wars fans, you know, it's hit or miss, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, so starting off with the positives of Mandalorian Grogu, again, getting to see them on the big screen, just getting to see like the scale of planets and AT-ATs and stuff like that. It's just cool to get to see that on the big screen. The introduction of the Mandalorian, he is just going through wrecking shop. I mean, it's actually pretty brutal. Like the first 15-20 minutes, it sets the stage for what's to come here in a little bit. But yeah, I just really enjoyed that. The action in this movie is really good. Like I said, like the first 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes of the movie is just so fun to watch. And then, you know, you've got gladiator arenas in the middle, and then the ending, I won't give anything away there, but there's a nice battle at the very end that I enjoyed. One thing that, you know, I knew had happened, but I never really like considered it until watching this, was watching the New Republic struggle to finally get going after the events of Return of the Jedi, with the fall of the Emperor and the Empire. You know, how are they going to unite all the planets that are in this galaxy? And how are they going to make all the sacrifices that we saw in Andor and Rogue One, like all the people that sacrifice themselves like for this dream of something other than the Empire? How are we going to make this worth it? And we see them, the New Republic, having to work with what we call with the Hutts, who are essentially gangsters, and that's not genuinely who you want to work with when you think about trying to start something new. That because it's going to be compared to the Empire. How are you going to be different than what the Emperor was doing? And how are you going to be doing it the right way as opposed to how Emperor Palpatine went about, destroying worlds, stealing resources off planets, and just basically leaving them high and dry afterwards. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool aspect that now makes me want to go and read some of the books, like the Aftermath series. There's one called Bloodlines about Princess Leia that I'm interested to learn a little bit more about what happened after the fall of the Empire. The music by Ludwig Göransson is, it is top tier. He's one of the hottest new composers in Hollywood right now, doing music for Christopher Nolan. I don't think I really knew him that much before Mandalorian, but ever since he did Mandalorian, there was just something about that score that, like, it was something new, but it still felt like it belonged in the Star Wars universe. And there's one scene in particular that I'm thinking about when they go to this planet called Shikari. It definitely has like a futuristic sound to it, kind of like similar to something along the lines of like Blade Runner, that I thought was pretty cool. I forgot to mention this in the action earlier, but there is a bounty hunter named Embo. There's a pretty cool fight scene in the movie that involves that character, and I mean, just his whole look is pretty awesome. So, with that being said, with the positives, this isn't a perfect movie by any means. So I, figure it'd probably be best to list some of the issues I had with this, and these are just kind of, I don't know, nitpicks, but well, the first thing is, in Return of the Jedi, when we see Jabba the Hutt, like, he speaks only Huttese and that's it. But in this, and I know in like the Clone Wars animated series, the Hutts speak Basic, which essentially English. But I don't know, it kind of throws me off a little bit, like hearing them just speaking like they're just going to, just anywhere. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's weird seeing them go from Huttese to Basic when it's just like, I don't know. But then again, I get you've got kids that are going to see this, and for those that may not be able to read, that may be a little struggle for them. Something else that I usually find criticisms with is just the convenience factors of how well and how easily things work out for the main characters throughout the movie. I wish there was a little bit more depth to this, so that or some like a little bit more conflict for the characters, so that there's more of an emotional payoff when certain things happen in this movie. And I don't need every single Star Wars project to be Andor. I think that's pretty much a perfect show. But I don't need everything to be on that level. But, with Andor, they would have a couple episodes doing the groundwork for the ultimate payoff in usually the third episode is wherever there'd be a climax to whatever was going on at that time. And it always hit hard because you had, like I said, you had laid the groundwork for everything so that when whatever happens, you're feeling pretty strongly about it. And this, I mean, it does have some emotional moments. I got emotional a couple times in this, but it, I felt like there could have been a bigger payoff, I guess. But overall, I'm giving Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, I had a fun time with this movie. And again, you're probably tired of hearing me saying this, but just seeing them on the big screen with a crowd was what I've been missing. I've wanted to share my reactions with other people and get their reactions at the same time. So it was cool getting to do that. And then there's also, after I watch a movie, I usually listen to some podcast just to, maybe there's something I missed, or if I've been thinking about something I just can't quite figure out what it is that I'm feeling. I usually, especially like the Geek Buddies, they go in depth pretty well, and I'll be like, that's exactly what I was thinking. But I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were talking about one of the Easter eggs that they noticed is that some of the creatures that are in the gladiator arena with Rada the Hutt were the same creatures that in episode 4, A New Hope, when Chewie is playing the hollow chess game, they mentioned that some of those creatures were the creatures that were like kind of hopping around on the chessboard there, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then also the Anzellans, like the Babu Frick, hey Babu Frick. I found out that the person that voices the Anzellans, her name is Shirley Henderson, and that is Moaning Myrtle from the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So I thought that was pretty cool that she's been involved, because I mean she's been in a few episodes of The Mandalorian. A couple questions I had after this was finished was, what is going to be the longevity of Grogu? Because, I mean, we know Yoda lived 800 plus years. And, season 1, they've established that Grogu is right around 50 years old. But he's still, a kid who hasn't even talked yet. So I kind of wonder what the plans are going to be for him, if they want to continue with that character. Because Mando's even established as like, hey, like you're going to live a lot longer than what I ever will. So basically, this is why I'm trying to teach you all that I know. But I wonder what they're going to do in the future with this character. And also, I'm not saying it has to be a Mandalorian movie or anything like that, but when is Bryce Dallas Howard or Rick Famuyiwa going to get a Star Wars movie to direct? They both have directed some of the best episodes that were presented in Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and I know that Bryce Dallas Howard also did. She at least did one of the episodes in Book of Boba Fett that dealt with Mandalorian, and she also did an episode in Skeleton Crew. And honestly, anytime that she directs an episode, like, it's usually one of the better ones of whatever season of whatever show that she's involved with in directing. So when are we going to give her the keys? Like, let her direct a movie. Let Rick direct a movie. So yeah, that's just kind of what I was thinking. So what did you guys think of Mandalorian and Grogu? I see a lot of critics that are not impressed with it, but a lot of the fans' reactions that I've seen have been pretty positive. As I said, I've been a pretty big fan of the show ever since it came out in 2019. Whatever comes out next with them, I will definitely be watching. How about you? Are you going to continue on this journey with Mandalorian and Grogu, or was this your I'm going to go ahead and hop off this train point here? So, whatever you think, let me know in the comments, and let's start a discussion about this movie. All right? Well, thank you for coming in, checking this out. Until next time, peace. One thing that I almost forgot to say is bring back Bill Burr's character of Mayfeld. I feel like where he left off at the end of season 2, I'd like to see where he's at. Also, this is the way.